Chelsea FC record first Abramovic era profit. From 9th of November 2012, Chelsea Football Club has said it made a profit of £1.4 million for the financial year ending 30th of June. The first time the club has made a profit since Russian billionaire Roman Abramovic took over as owner in 2003. Mate, it has taken them almost a decade to make 1.4 million worth of profit. I'm sorry, I really should be serious, but I can't help but laugh at that because that's just funny. But anyway, the West London club also recorded record group turnover of 255.7 million. The team which won the Champions League last season as well as the FA Cup are second in the Premier League. I think they're down third now. The profit comes after a £67.7 million loss in the previous financial year. Chelsea says, this is even funnier, Chelsea says it's in a strong position to comply with UEFA's financial fair play criteria for the coming seasons, which require clubs over a fixed period to achieve a break-even figure when expenditure is measured against income from football-related activities. The increase in turnover puts them above Arsenal in the Money League and in 5th place in the world behind Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man United and Bayern Munich. Arsenal's figure released 2 months ago saw overall turnover fall to 243 million from 255 million, but profits were 30.6 million. You see the differences we're working in here. 1.4 million to 30.6 million. Abramovich, well, anyway. But moving on. This is another one that made me laugh. United debt falls below 400 million for the first time in the Glazer era. Once again, this is another one that's funny. From Wednesday, November 14th, 2012, United said they had cut their debt to 359.7 million, down 17% from a year earlier after a listing on the New York Stock Exchange in August that left the American Glazer family firmly in control of the club. It's also the first time the club's debt has dropped below £400 million since the Glazers took over in 2005. A vocal section of United supporters have argued that the cost of servicing debts following the Glazers' £790 million leveraged buyout of the club in 2005 have hampered its ability to compete with rival clubs at home and abroad. Now, you know what? Yeah, just wanna say that is actually hilarious to me, and the reason why it's hilarious, the reason why Man United, that bit is hilarious to me, is because our debt's below 400 million for the first time since 2005. Mate, that's not something to be proud of because it's still almost 360 million. If they'd got it down to 2 million or they'd broken even, I could understand putting out an article and being happy about it. I could understand that. But it's like, that's like saying, basically with the United thing and the Chelsea one, it's basically like saying, yeah, I sleep around, but I haven't caught chlamydia yet. It's pretty much like that to me. It's like, yeah, for the first time in a decade, we've made, oh wait, it's only a tiny bit of profit, but we've made some profit. And United were funny as well. I don't know, man. Gman and Gezzie especially, what do you reckon?
Well, for me personally, this is why I'm an advocate of what we're doing at Arsenal to one extent, because at the end of the day, if you're investing so much money into a club, and like you said, 10 years down the line, all you've got to be happy about is making a 1.4 million profit. It's ridiculous. And considering Chelsea won the Champions League last season, they won the FA Cup as well, it means money, revenue, everything that's coming into streamline into the club, and that's all the profit they gain from it. You just got to ask yourself, is really spending all that money worth it? If you're a businessman, is spending all that money worth it just for the trophies?
Well, football clubs are run like businesses, extremely badly run businesses, but businesses nonetheless, as I like to say on a regular basis. But the fact of the matter is, Chelsea earning that much, like basically making that profit, they had an exceptional season last season, and that jump in profit is only temporary, unless they can keep doing that every season. At least you can say with United that they were doing it every season. But at the same time, a lot of their trophy wins since the Glazers have taken over, a lot of their trophy wins have only been chipping away at interest. It's only because they've been put on the stock exchange. Well, that's a major part. It's not the only part, but their international, I think it's their international revenue, which is basically chipping away at the debt, and them actually being put on the stock exchange by the Glazers. The Glazers weren't doing it to help Man United. They were basically doing it just to line their own pockets. They came out and said from day one, half of that money is going to us, the other half is going to the club. Mate, you're floating a club that you bought in a leverage buyout. You put the club's future against the club to buy them, and now you've got the cheek to only give half back. No, you should be giving all of it back. But anyway, Jesse, what do you reckon?
No, I agree with you. It's a bit of a non-news item for me. And like the G-Man said, it's part of the reason why I do admire what's happening over at Arsenal. I do. I think Arsenal are the best run club, arguably in the world, in terms of their financial position in regards to when financial fair play does eventually kick in. And I know that's something that we'll be talking about in a little while. But at the same time, like I say, and like the G-Man said, it's nothing really for a fan to go and get excited about. So the debt's under 400 million. Yeah, it's still around the 400 million mark, which is still a lot of money. Yeah, exactly. 400 million is the amount of money that I will never see in my lifetime, that my family will probably never ever see. And I'm talking about my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, and my great-great-grandkids. All of their incomes put together. Yeah, we will not see that. So having said all that, I was just like, yeah, it's good. And at the same time, it's just like, well, what has it really done? See what I mean? Like you said, if things had, been brought back to, I don't know, say maybe £1.24 million debt, or broke even, or even went into the positive, I'd have been like, you know what? Fair enough. That's new. We can talk about that. But this, not so much for me.
No, that's a good point. I mean, Ted Wynn has been saying you ain't a businessman if that's all you get in that amount of time, 1.4 million. So I mean, which is a true point. So, I mean, does anyone else want to jump in on that point?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, go on, Jamie, shoot.
Obviously, I support. Well, as all three of you guys know, that I support Arsenal. I do feel kind of sorry for Chelsea not making that amount. Well, making something in the last 10 years. But if you look at it together, the amount of times that Arsenal have been said to been run as good business,
yeah.
And I'm always gonna be a manager for this one and a coach. How many times have people said, what do you get rated on as a manager? And it's always going to come back as you get rated on the trophies that you either win or the teams that you actually, the amount of times that you actually win during the season. And to be honest with you, yes, we've lost against Norwich, we've lost against United, we've lost against Chelsea. But in the last 7 years, how many trophies have we won? And yes, all of this keeps coming up as Chelsea and United haven't done anything, have only made profit or done this and done that. But in the end, have they won more trophies than Arsenal and Man City and Spurs? Yes, they have. So therefore, whatever they've made in terms of profit, the real business is on the pitch.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I kind of disagree in terms of the real business being on the pitch, because oddly enough, I think Anyas is in the chat with us, and I actually had a chat with him over the weekend, where whereby it was a case of we were talking about this very issue, and especially with Arsenal as well, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be leveraging your club's future just for the sake of a trophy or two, because Portsmouth did the same thing, and look at the trouble that Portsmouth are in.